I don't know why it kicked me out for some reason.
Hey, you're back.
My bad. All right. Just let me know when you're ready for me to share it.
Are we live?
Oh, good. So everyone can see me. You look like an idiot. I sent everybody our link, so just let me know when you're ready for me to share it. Okay. I think that's the worst part of doing this. When I don't like editing it because I hate my voice. Not a fan.
What's up, Devin?
All right. All right, link shared. I'll let everybody know.
All right.
Between fantasy and regular football, I'm kind of burnt out right now. I'm not gonna lie.
It's hard losing. You lost in fantasy. The Patriots didn't even score a point, which is right on par with your performance from last week. Pretty sure you didn't even score a point in the start-sit showdown.
I got 2 of 6.
I guess that's a lot.
That's points.
I got 5 of 6, but but who's counting? So
I am, and we're even. So shut up. I'm counting. It's all written down. Oh man. Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. Everybody who's joining us so far. I don't know who's on right now, but thanks for joining us this week. We're going to recap week 5 and how we all did. Look forward to week 6. I think we're going to go through some adds and drops this week on who we think you should add, who we think you should drop. Kind of go over some of that and some of our picks, and then some of the bigger news as well. But how you feeling after a great week from your team too? Because you guys won this week, which is fantastic on your part.
Yeah, look, I'm feeling just fine and dandy. Of course Jets got a big W. In the Hackett Bowl. So that was exciting. That was really a must win. We had to have that to with all the offseason drama, and then Zach Wilson coming off of a high game, for him to come out and have another decent game, by his standards, a Hall of Fame game. It's encouraging. So I'm excited. I was excited to see it.
When you're a Jets fan, you have to create your own bowls because God knows the Super Bowl's not going to be played anytime soon. So I get it. The Hackett Bowl, that's awesome. Good for you.
Hey, well, you guys are going to be there soon too. Because you guys should create the Let's Try and Score a Touchdown Bowl, or at least a field goal.
Whatever.
Macaroni Jones gonna be riding the bench for you guys. But hey, more other than that, more importantly than that, I should say, it was a great week for me, fantasy wise. My start sits. I went 5 for 6 on them. The only one I missed on was Raheem Mostert. I thought that he would take a little bit more of a back seat to HEN or Achane, sorry, and maybe he didn't because of the knee injury that really screwed up one of my trades that we'll get into a little bit later. But I nailed them all, and then my bonus pick was DeAndre Hopkins, and I told you guys he was going to go off. I told you he was going to have a big day. That Colts secondary, they were down to their third and fourth string corners who are second and seventh round picks. There's just no way that Hopkins wasn't going to feast. Jeff was all over me, telling me not even to show up for work today if I started Hopkins. His advice was to start Dameon Pierce, who had a staggering 6 points, and DeAndre Hopkins went off for 140 yards. So
I don't think it was Pierce. There was another. Wait a minute. There was another player in there.
It was Dobbs. It was Dobbs, Pierce, Judy, or Hopkins, and you said.
Oh,
Pierce.
Romeo Dobbs. Oh, yep. Romeo Dobbs. Yep. Yeah, that one. Dude, I turned on the Packers game because I was on my way home during the game. And it's like the third quarter. I'm looking at and I'm thinking to myself, did Dobbs get hurt? Like I see Watson, who I told you was going to be better than Dobbs in the beginning of the season. Watson's putting up points. All these receivers are scoring. I'm like, did Dobbs get hurt? Like what happened? Because I have him in a few leagues, and everybody's like, nope, he's perfectly fine, just sitting there, not getting any points.
And that's right. It was his first bad game, of the season. And also, I nailed the Cooper Kupp pick. I told y'all that he was going to be playing without limitations, and that is exactly what he did. And I nailed the Jonathan Taylor pick. I told you he would be playing with limitations, and that's exactly what happened. His limitations just happened to be Zach Moss. But it's so it's a good week. I'm riding high. I'm back to 500 on the year. After a really rough first week, and then rough first couple of weeks, I've been cruising right along, so I'm excited to get into this week's start sits, and happy to be back at 500, man. How about you? How'd your week go?
I'm gonna buy a mirror so we can just put it up. So I don't even have to be here anymore. I'll just let you talk to yourself because you're obviously glory hounding it tonight. Congratulations! Yes, you got a good week. I'm so happy for you.
It'd be better for the viewers if it was just me talking.
All right. Well, I'll bounce back this week. We'll see who's in control by next week for sure. Yes, I had a bad week. I knew Christian Kirk was going to do good. I didn't know both of them were going to do good, him and Ridley, so I was a little off by that. I knew Najee Harris was going to be bad. Like I was just telling you, Derrick Henry, who the hell knew Tajay Sharp was taking his job all of a sudden? I wasn't aware. Nobody informed me of it because I knew somebody was going to score a rushing touchdown in this game. Figured it would be their top guy, but that fat fraud failed me. And then, of course, Jalen Hurts gets pushed into the end zone for his fantasy points. So who the hell? He doesn't even have to contribute. He could flop in and get pushed in, and he's fine. So whatever, man. It's cool. I had a bad week. I own up to it. But this week, bounce back time, baby. Let's go.
All right. So let's dive in. Do you want to dive into your start sits? You want to dive into who's hot, who to drop? What do you want to
do? So I didn't really get too much in the hotter drop segment. I was more looking on where to go for trades. Like the free agent market I was looking at, I don't know, maybe you have a few free agents that you want to pick up. I didn't see much in a lot of my leagues. A lot of people have been picking up, the hot commodities. But I knew there were a few trade targets that I wanted to look into. So last week we talked about, actually on Sunday, we talked about buying low with Breece Hall. We were both right on that one. That one we definitely nailed, even though you agreed with me. So I guess I'll give you that as right. But we said buy on Breece Hall. That was the lowest you were going to find him at. And, of course, he blew up this week because now he's no restrictions. He's fully healthy again. That team's not as bad as we thought it was. So if you're able to trade for Breece Hall last week, you're welcome. But this week, in a few different leagues, if you're having some running back issues, I focus more on the running back side. Two guys that I definitely would aim for that are at the lowest of lows right now. The first one, not to be a homer, but Ramondre Stevenson. That's one. A lot of people are like, okay, this offense sucks. You just said it yourself. We've gotten 3 points in 2 weeks. So Stevenson hasn't looked great like we thought he would in the beginning of the season. A lot of people are going to probably try to sell him at this point and try to just cut their losses because 5 weeks in they haven't done anything, and Mac Jones isn't going anywhere. So, but knowing my Patriots as well as I do, I know we've had a lot of injuries on the offensive line, which we've got a few guys coming back. We've got a little bit more speed coming back at the wide receiver. Juju hopefully stays in concussion protocols, so we don't have to worry about him. We have Tyquan Thornton coming back this week, so that kind of spreads it out a little bit more. And eventually, I even think that if Mac Jones does continue to stay bad, we have a backup quarterback, not Zappy, but we have another quarterback that is a running style quarterback that might help the running game a little bit. Not going too far into it yet, but there's no way Stevenson stays this bad. He's too much of a stud. They're gonna figure things out. Like it's his third offensive coordinator in 3 years for Mac Jones. He's gonna figure it out. It just takes some time. But the schedule, the defense that they're going to be playing throughout the rest of the season isn't that bad. So I think Stevenson's one you should definitely target. I think he's going to start to emerge a little bit more here in the upcoming weeks. And the other one, again, not a hard defensive schedule coming up, but I think he's going to start to produce again soon. That offense will start to click a little more. Josh Jacobs. I know Jacobs is not looking good right now. He's still got a little bit going for him. And I think he's got the ability to emerge a little bit. I think it's more of he missed some time in training camp. And anytime you see a player miss time in training camp, you nailed it with Taylor, missing 4 weeks in training camp. Like it takes time to come back from. I think this week is the week that Jacobs kind of bounces back a little bit. So it's definitely a good chance to, take a flyer. You're in a dynasty league, maybe throw a third or fourth rounder at somebody for Jacobs if they're willing. If you're in a redraft league, see if you can throw a few players together and they'll let it stick. But those are two that I think right now, if you're looking for running back help, those are two you can buy right now, and I think you're gonna get the dividends throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, I would. So I'll stay on Jacobs real quick. So I think the window to buy low might be running out. I mean, he's got 25 and 19 points, depending on your league settings the last few weeks. It hasn't been super efficient. He's found the end zone. He's gotten a few catches. But to your point, up until week 4, his stats are almost identical this year and last year. So he's historically gotten off to some slow starts. So I think the rest of the year is going to look really, really bright for him. Just as it did last year, for all those reasons you mentioned. So I'm with you there. A couple other running backs, focusing on running backs mainly because that's where the injuries seem to be. With A-Chain getting hurt, a couple other running backs got hurt also. So I think a great buy low target is Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I know his production has been disappointing. He's currently nursing the hammy. And, head coach Dan Campbell just came out today and said that Montgomery is going to be the workhorse back and Gibbs is the change of pace back. So you might be wondering, why the hell am I going to buy low on this guy? A couple things stuck out to me is one, he's a great handcuff, which means if Montgomery were to lose time, which, he got hurt last year and at the end of the year prior. So it's always a possibility, especially when you're a bell cow back. He's basically a standalone handcuff. And then also if you're in a dynasty league, probably, great buy low target at this point in time. The other thing that Campbell said in his press conference when he was talking about, Jahmyr Gibbs being the change of pace back, he said, now he will get plenty of touches, but that doesn't necessarily mean carries though. So to me, that sounds like they're going to make a point to use him in the passing game. So when you're a third down or change of pace back and you're only getting a handful of touches, you get a lot more out of those touches when you're getting passing work. So, even on a light workload, he's got the skill set, he's got the dynamics to take any one of those to the house. A lot of people drafted him high, second round, third round, fourth round. They're probably pretty salty and on tilt, right now. So you could probably, I'm guessing you can get him for pennies on the dollar right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So the thing I like about Gibbs, and this is what I liked about him going into the season, is we've seen Jared Goff be a big part of throwing to the running back out of the backfield. Todd Gurley had his MVP season with Jared Goff. A lot of that came from catching out of the backfield. So I mean, Goff, it's nothing bad for Goff to do. It's nothing new for Goff to do. As far as Gibbs, the kid's got potential through the roof. Like Barry Sanders-esque. He's not going to be Barry Sanders, but I mean, he's got that type of running style, and Detroit loves that. A lot of people are going to love that. I agree with you. I think he's going to start to explode because he's a rookie. He's going to take time. I agree. Buying him low right now in a redraft league is very good. You could probably get him for pennies on the dollar there. Dynasty, it's still going to – I own him in a Dynasty league. I drafted him this year in a Dynasty league where you can keep him as a rookie keeper, and there's no way in heck I'm letting him go for anything less than top dollar. So – but redraft, I definitely agree with you. Gibbs is something you should target because if Montgomery goes down, Montgomery looks great though. I'm not gonna lie. I love Montgomery in Chicago. I didn't think they knew how to use him right, but now that he's got that line in front of him on top of it, yeah, I don't disagree with you with the redraft perspective. But dynasty, I wouldn't sell very very low right now.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to sell. I'm saying somebody could look at selling, and they might be, and if they were. He's in a buy low situation again. Like I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, you're saying you want to buy him low. I'm telling you, if I'm selling him, I'm not selling him low. Is what I'm saying. Like they're not in a dynasty league. In a redraft league, maybe.
Well, I wouldn't call up your phone and pitch you the trade then. But I think somebody out there is going to be upset with his usage, and somebody out there, definitely in a redraft league and in a dynasty league, somebody's going to be upset with his usage. Is going to look at Montgomery's contract and think he's there for the long haul, and somebody's going to be mad that they took him so early and they're not getting those returns, especially if they're in a position to win. But the other running back that I think this will be the last week that you can get him on a buy low is Joe Mixon. So Mixon, and here's why I say you can get him on the buy low. We've had 5 games. Joe Mixon has not met his projected points in 4 out of 5 of those games. The one game that he did, he beat it by 0.01. So you might be thinking, well, why the hell do I want to buy low? And this one's really simple. Burrow's back. Jamar Chase is doing Jamar Chase things. Things that most people saw coming, except for the other person on this call, who told you last week that Arizona was going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And one of us had common sense and said that Burrow's healthy and he's going to be fine and he's going to chuck the ball to Jamar Chase all day. So the passing game is opening up, which means those running lanes are going to start opening it up for Joe Mixon. Again, he's missed projections in 4 out of 5 games this week or this year. So I think this is the last window that you have to try to buy low on Joe Mixon if you're looking for running back help.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I agree with you there. Mixon's a good. I like Mixon. I think he's underrated in the passing game. Rushing wise, I think that offensive line still scares me. I'm not gonna lie. We talked bad about the offensive line. It's still not a great line. They didn't overhaul. They played well against Arizona, who didn't pass rush well. Although if they had pass rushed a little bit better or up the blitzing a little bit better, that game would have been theirs. But nonetheless, they won it. I don't disagree. But that line scares me. I'm not gonna lie. That really does.
It was it's pretty much the same line last year, and he had a strong season last year again. Like I don't think Mixon's gonna save your season, but if you need running back help and you're strong at the wide receiver position, you can buy low on Joe Mixon right now. And I think this is gonna be the last opportunity that you have. I think these next few weeks, as that passing game explodes, they're gonna go ahead and open up those running lanes. And if there's one thing, and again, I wasn't high on Mixon coming into the season. I thought he was going to start losing work, because he's a 3.9 career guy, or at least he was last year, and he's at 3.6 this year. So it's not like he's killing it. But he's their red zone guy. He's their bell cow back. So I think if you're looking for a good RB2, I think Joe Mixon is your guy to try to get on the buy low.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That's not terrible.
That's what I shoot for.
Okay.
I shoot for not terrible.
What about selling? Are you going to sell anybody off? Let's say you started off 1-4 this season, and you need to get some assets back. Who are you selling?
So I had A-Chain here, and he was going to be my sell high for a few different reasons. One, you got Jeff Wilson coming back. Two, I mean, his production is just not sustainable. And I had a trade that I was seconds away from completing to move him straight up for Devontae Adams. And then literally I said, okay, let's do it. I go to create the trade. A little Q is next to A-Chain's name. And then I click on the little Q, and then it shows that he's being evaluated for a knee injury. More to come. And boom, that shut the whole freaking trade down, obviously. But had I pulled the trigger on that trade a little bit sooner, hell, I'd be sitting pretty. But he was gonna be somebody that I would sell high on. Another person I would sell high on right now, if you have him, is Gabe Davis. He's got 3 weeks and 3 straight touchdowns. So why sell? I just don't think it's a sustainable pace. He's very touchdown reliant. And this isn't an offense like Miami or the Rams now with Kupp and Nakua, that can support multiple wide receivers on a week-to-week basis. Stephon Diggs still dominates the targets there. I would move Gabe Davis if you have him. I would sell high on him.
I don't know if you just forgot what the game was or what it was. I don't know anybody who's saying, man, Gabe Davis has blown up the world. This is my chance to get a haul for him. Like, that's not selling high.
It's selling high when this is the highest he's ever going to be. And you got Justin Jefferson that just went down. So you got a bunch of people that are, probably looking, okay, where can I go? And blah, 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 blah. So if I have Gabe Davis, I'm going to whoever has Justin Jefferson, and I'm making a trade. And here's why, because the previous couple weeks, he only had a couple catches and a touchdown. Last week, he had 6 catches and a touchdown. So somebody's going to look at that and be like, oh, now he's getting the volume too with touchdowns. I'm going to take him. So it's a perfect storm where you can sell high on him, where you got some injuries coming into play. You got bye weeks coming up. People are going to be looking for fill-in options, and this is the best chance you'll ever get to sell Gabe Davis for anything. Other than this, you'll probably have to drop him.
Drop him?
Yeah, like you're not going to be able to trade him after any more weeks. So if you have him on your team and you don't feel like dropping him 3 weeks from now, because you're going to, sell high now and get something out of it.
Oh, okay. The guy I thought was going to be better than Stephon Diggs, who's still competing. He's not doing terrible. He's not bad either, but okay. All right, you sell me Gabe Davis. That's cool. I'm going to sell. I stuck with running back here too, and this is the guy I liked pre-season. I liked him going into the season. I drafted him in our mock draft. But I think now, especially looking at his schedule, the time to sell is now, and that's going to be Kenneth Walker for Seattle. Yeah, like if you are 1-4 right now, and you're like, man, I've got a lot of holes to fill. I need to find somebody who's going to trade me a halfway decent running back, maybe like a Mixon, like you said, or a Gibbs, and a receiver to get back as well and get a haul. That might be the route I have to go. Because right now he's averaging, I think it's like 18 points a game, fantasy wise. He had 30 points in week 3. Against the Giants, he had 13 last week. He had a bye week. So he's done well in the first couple of weeks. He's definitely shown that he's going to be a solid back point wise, but his schedule coming up, he's got I think he's got one game where he's got a top or the bottom echelon defense to go against. He's going against Cleveland, who's third best run defense. He's got Baltimore, who's 10th best defense. San Francisco twice, Philly, Tennessee. Like the weakest one he's got is Arizona, and that's in 2 weeks. Other than that, especially playoff time, this guy's going against the cream of the crop when it comes to run defenses. And I just see he's going to have a tough road to go against. So he might not be one you want to go into the playoffs with. So if you can get some value and get 2 or 3 positions filled and get some fillers in there to make up if you had a Justin Jefferson or you had some guys who fell down and might not come back for a little bit, I think he's one you can sacrifice and still maintain your team and maybe make a bounce back. So, yeah, Kenneth Walker's one I think that you can sell right now and get the most for.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree on that one. I mean, I understand where you're coming from with the schedule piece, and I mean he does have a rough schedule coming up, but you don't find RB1s on trees, and Kenneth Walker's an RB1, and so I mean if you got him, just hang on to him, like, because he's gonna get his carries, he's gonna get his touches, and he's a game breaker. He's not your typical, let me run it 20 times and gain, 100 yards and a touchdown. He's a game breaker. So all it takes is that one rush, for him to turn on the Jets and really make a move. Seattle's a run first team, so they're always going to try to run it, and it's proven successful. I mean, he had San Fran twice last year. I think he did fine in both games. So those are going to be drag them out games, but our RB1s don't grow on trees. The only way I'm moving him is if I had Justin Jefferson. Other than that, I'm keeping Kenneth Walker on my team. Now, interestingly enough, though, I almost did have Charbonnet as a buy low. Not because I'm worried about Kenneth Walker's productivity, but anybody can get hurt on any given Sunday. And so I think that would be a great buy low candidate.
So, yeah, he played San Francisco twice last year. In 2 games, he racked up a total between the two 65 yards combined. I guess he does good against San Francisco. But, all right, so I just got to ask. I'm a little confused. Maybe our older crowd knows this movie, but have you ever seen the movie Face Off with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage? How they completely switch roles and switch the fate, whatever. How the hell did we switch roles on all these topics? You went into the season saying Kenneth Walker was a bad pick. Zach Charbonnet was going to take over. They didn't draft Charbonnet for no reason, and he was going to steal stuff. Now you're telling me to keep him?
Yeah, because with new information, one's opinion is allowed to change, and that's called being wise. So, and I also mentioned that the more and more I thought about it, they told us the same thing last year. When they had Penny and then they drafted Kenneth Walker and they're like, oh, it's going to be a timeshare. And then what happened? Rashad Penny came out the first 4 weeks and was dominating touches until he got hurt. So that made me think, okay, maybe they'll kind of ease Charbonnet into it. But Kenneth Walker's doing well, man, and I think he's going to continue to do well. So he's getting looks in the passing game. I'm not worried about him at all.
So what you're saying was I was right in the beginning of the season. Okay, I got it.
But you're wrong now. So, but I understand I understand you don't have a lot to hang your hat on. So you kind of gotta pick and choose.
Oh, I hate you right now. This is great. Okay, sweet. All right, that's our buy low and sell high. So yeah, free agents, like I said, I didn't really see too many to pick up in any of my leagues. I mean, maybe Josh Reynolds in Detroit was one that I saw that was available in some leagues, and then Josh Downs for Indianapolis. Those are the two in some of the leagues I saw were available. Not most of them, but some of them. So if you could pick those two, especially with St. Brown going down right now, Reynolds looked good, but those are my two that I would just come up with right off the fly. But what did you come up with anybody for that one?
Yeah, so I try to help our viewers out, Jeff. So I want to make sure that when they're tuning in, we got good stuff for them. So what I did was I looked at it and said, okay, what would I do if I had Justin Jefferson? And then the first place I would have looked is KJ Osborne. Now, when I wrote this, he was at 12% owned. That number has since jumped up to 58%. So waivers hit, waivers cleared. People have been snatching them up. They must have saw my Twitter at Davey Footballs, the fantasy football guru, and I assume that's why it shot up to 58%. Because when I put it on X, he was at 12%. So he's going to be taking over JJ's X role in the offense. So there's going to be no change in where Addison lines up. So sure, KJ is going to be in the X, which theoretically means he could go against every team's best corner. But the reality is teams are going to game plan more for Addison. So I think KJ Osborne's still going to get his. Is he going to give you 1-for-1 replacement value? No. He's probably still a wide receiver 3 or flex. But it's guaranteed production pretty much. Another guy that at the time of writing was 15%, and that's Curtis Samuel. I don't love it because he's with the Commanders and they're just not very good. He's up to 30% owned now, so which means you could probably still get him on the waiver wire. But hey, he's coming off back-to-back weeks with 7 targets and a touchdown in each. He's clearly, in my mind, surpassed Dot Stockton as the number 2 receiver in that offense. He might statistically he might even be number 1 at this point. So I think he's a good target again. Wide receiver 3, flex type of guy. And then last week, another person who was on my start list who exceeded projections, and I said, hey, this might be the last week that you can scoop him up, is Rashee Rice. So he didn't have a huge game. But he went for 5 catches, or four catches, 33 yards and a touchdown. So he did exceed his points, but he's just getting more and more involved in the offense. You got Travis Kelce that was banged up on an ankle. I know he came back into the game and still played well, but that gets worse as the week goes on. So I think Rashee Rice is a good target for you if you had, if you're looking at it and saying, shit, I just lost JJ, who can I go get? And then the last one that I'll give you is a sneaky option if you had a chain. I like Chris Brooks. He's, probably the 3rd string running back out of Miami right now. He's an undrafted free agent. But what I like about him is he's 6'2", 220. He weighed at the combine 230. So he's a bigger back, something Miami doesn't really have. I know Jeff Wilson's bigger than most are, but Chris Brooks, 4'5", 40, big guy. Gives a different element to the Miami rushing attack. He already passed Salvon Ahmad on the depth chart. I don't think he necessarily blows up this week, but he's somebody to keep an eye on. So Chris Brooks, Miami, and that'll be the last one that I give you.
I like that one. That's a good one, actually.
I've been wrong on all my other rookie running backs so far. So.
No, that's good. I have a few leagues where I have a taxi squad where I can just stash them away and hope maybe they can make something of themselves the next few weeks. So that's not a bad one. I'll have to look that one up. Sweet. I like it, man. All right. So let's get down to what are we calling it now? Dud or stud or dud?
Stud or dud, baby. Stud or dud.
I like it. Okay. Well, I'll let you, since you're the hot hand right now, let everybody get their insight early. Who you starting this week?
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna make a post that our start sits are happening live now.
Oh yeah.
And then it doesn't look like we have people viewing right now. Drop a message in the chat if you are. Otherwise, I'll just let this post marinate for a minute before we jump in.
Well, they'll get to watch it too if worse comes to worse.
Yep. Yeah, the Brooks one I think can be interesting, but again, I've been burned by my running back picks. Tucker hasn't really seen the field, and then oh boy, out of Cincy, what was his name? Chase. Chase Brown.
Yeah, that was a debacle. but who knew that they weren't going to know how to use them? That's not your fault. So
yeah, I thought that one was a shoo-in for all the reasons we're seeing with what's his face not being good. But
But you're right, that offense is predicated on all this speed, speed, speed. So, like, you go against a team who anticipates it, all of a sudden you have a bruiser come up the middle. I mean, that's not a bad, it's not a bad change of pace to go.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think I think it'll have value. It might take an injury or two, for him to really see the time. But Mostert's good for that. Jeff Wilson's good for that too. So
I mean, Wilson's coming off the injury. Mostert's 31 years old, I think, right now. So I mean, it's not like he's a spring chicken. So they're gonna have to have somebody spell him. So
yeah.
And
I mean, the kid's got to run hard to keep a roster spot on that team. So
Jesus, they're full of speed, man. It's insane.
Yeah.
And now they got Claypool too. Who knows what's gonna happen? I don't even get to talk about it on the show on Sunday, but Claypool, like, who knows what that turns out? Like, I don't know. That team's set. They could be a Super Bowl contender, man. I really can see them hitting the Super Bowl.
I don't think their defense is good enough, and I think they're more of like I think they're more of a finesse team. Like I think the only way they make it is if they get home field advantage throughout. The schedule breaks really nicely for them. Is that they have a lot of late divisional games at home. Because I would love to see how this team does in adverse conditions, because they're so predicated on speed and finesse. With that being said, though, I do think they match up really, really well with San Fran. The Eagles, I think, would be a little bit tougher for them. But I think, I can't see them making the Super Bowl. I don't know about that defense. But my God, they're good. They're a lot of fun.
You just said they're going against San Francisco or Philly.
Well, if they make it that far,
if they make it there, okay, I gotcha.
I think
I just
if they have to go to Cincy, which is not looking like they would. Like if they have to go into Cincy in January, I don't think they win that game. If they have to go into Buffalo in January, I don't think they win that game. If it's at home, that's a different story. Because they're. Again, like I said, if the only way to me that they make it is if they get home field advantage.
They almost beat Buffalo in Buffalo in the playoffs with Skylar Thompson. So I mean, it's not like it's not like they can't do it. Like they're capable of doing it. Their only real competitors right now are Kansas City, and I mean, I don't know. I like the Chargers, but that defense isn't going to hold up that well. I mean, Kansas City's really. All I see is they're able to beat them. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I don't think Buffalo's got it, especially with, now they lost Milano, they lost Tre'Davious White. That defense is taking hits, man. Buffalo's not going to be as good as people think. Their window is closing very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, those are two killer defensive injuries for them. So I think now they could go out and they could make a deal at the deadline that shores up some of that stuff. Like, who knows what Denver's going to do? I don't think they do this, but maybe you offer 2 first-round picks for Patrick Surtain. He's still got 2 years of contract left. Denver is tanking. Now he's a piece that Denver could build around, so I don't necessarily think that they do that. But if you're Buffalo, like, you have to realize that your window is shrinking, and this is probably, if not your last year, your second to last year of capitalizing on the team that you have. So like you gotta go for broke. I mean, Diggs is going to be 31 next year, going on 32. Gabe Davis, I think, is a free agent at the end of this year, maybe, or did they sign him to a contract? I don't know.
No, I think this is his contract year, which is another reason why I thought he was going to do good too. So
yeah, and they haven't been able to figure out the run game.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It'll be interesting. I'm eager to see who's going to play San Fran in the Super Bowl.
Oh man, probably the Jets. Well, yeah, you got Aaron Rodgers coming back week 17, so he'll probably guide us to the promised land, I think. So.
Oh, okay. All right, you ready to lay him on me, or you want me to start?
Yeah, no, I can kick off. So I'm gonna go ahead and all right, I'm gonna lay him on you now. Keep in mind that this could change come Sunday, but First guy I want to start off with here is one I just talked about earlier on the pickups is Mr. KJ Osborne. He is projected to get 9 points. So again, like I know a lot of the talk, is going to be about Jordan Addison, and a lot of people think that he's going to step up and kind of take Justin Jefferson's role. But again, Osborne starting in Justin Jefferson's spot, which is the X role. Addison is dealing with an ankle injury, and Addison, to be fair, he is the better player. So defensively, teams are going to key in on him and probably Hawkinson. So I think that allows KJ Osborne to, kind of step up and exceed these 9 points. And again, yes, he's in the X role, so you could argue, well, he's going to face each team's best corner, but they're facing the Bears this week, and their best corner is still shit. So go ahead and fire KJ Osborne up. He will exceed his 9 points, which makes him a stud for this week.
We got to figure out which site we're going off of. I don't know where you're finding.
I'm going off of Yahoo, but
he's definitely this right. Yahoo.
Uh-huh.
Are you still doing that half PPR crap? Is that what you're doing?
No, this is full PPR. 9.07.
I have 10.59.
Well, either way, if he exceeds my 9.07, he's going to exceed your 10.59. It's all the same.
Okay, that's fair. We'll call it a wash if he hits in the middle, which I'd be very stunned, but okay. Yeah. All right, cool. KJ Osborne, so you're not only picking him up, but you're starting him first week. Got it.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Absolutely. The next one I'm going to give you is it's going to be a little start sit combo. So start DeAndre Swift. Now Swift has put up strong games. So I'm going to make him a stud here, right? He's put up strong games, but he hasn't been effective as of late rushing the ball. So he's been held to under 75 yards rushing in each of his last 2 games. So that's why I have him here, is because you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't I start Swift? But, I know a lot of people think that the Jets have a good defense. The Jets have a good pass defense. Their rush defense is horrendous. They're giving up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing running backs this year and damn near 150 yards per game on the ground. So I think this is a smash spot for DeAndre Swift. That's why I have him as one of my studs. And on the same token, I have A.J. Brown as one of my duds. I know A.J. Brown is coming off of 3 strong weeks. And now, as I just said, the Jets have a strong pass defense and a shitty run defense. So their pass defense, they're giving up the 2nd fewest points per game to wide receivers. So I think this is going to be a very run-heavy script for Philadelphia because they run the shit out of the ball. They ran 40 times against the Rams. So I think it's going to get a heavy dose of DeAndre Swift, a heavy dose of Jalen Hurts, maybe Kenneth Gainwell, and who knows, Rashad Penny might even show up and get the play today. But I do think that if the Eagles do have a pass catcher that makes some noise, I think it's going to be Devontae Smith. He's been very quiet the last 3 games. I don't think he's topped 6 points in the last couple games. Same thing was happening with Dallas Goedert, and now Goedert had a smash spot last week. So I think they're going to try to get Devontae Smith the ball. Devontae Smith is probably going to see less of Sauce Gardner than A.J. Brown does. Not that I'm a huge believer in Sauce Gardner anymore. But long story short, it's going to be a run game. A.J. Brown, I don't think, sees the type of volume that he's been seeing the last 3 weeks. So I have him on my dud list.
Okay. All right. Who's your third start?
So my third stud is, if you listened to me last week, I told you sit Jonathan Taylor. It's going to take some time for him to ramp up. Turns out that time is 1 week. So I knew last week was going to be a light load for JT. It just didn't make sense to throw him into the fire too soon. However, that changes this week. Sure, I know Zach Moss had a strong week in an attempt to hang on to the starting job, but he didn't just sign a $40 million contract. Jonathan Taylor did. The Colts have come out and said this week, that they're going to ramp up Taylor's workload, and to me, that sounds like give him all the damn carries. So, I look for him to easily get at least 15 to 20 touches and outproduce his projected fantasy points right now, which is 9. So I know a lot of people are probably feeling a little snake bit because they started Taylor last week, and they're probably looking at it like, oh, okay, they're going to ease him back into this, blah, 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 blah. No, Gardner Minshew is a better thrower of the football than Anthony Richardson, so I think the passing game could open things up for JT a little bit more, plus help him out in the check down game. I know they're facing a very good defense this week, but this is, I think, a smash spot for Jonathan Taylor.
So sad, man. I was 1 week off. I said those exact same things on Sunday. $40 million means give him the ball every chance you get. But okay, I was 1 week off. I apologize. But okay. All right, so those are your 3 studs. Sorry. Got to get used to that. All right, awesome, man. Well, me, this week I've got, I stick to my quarterback, running back, wide receiver every week. The quarterback I have starting this week is, if you get a chance, if you're not sure on your starting quarterback, if you have Sam Howell, throw him in there. I think Sam Howell is going to be good this week. I know he's going against Atlanta, who's got a pretty good pass defense, not terrible, but this kid has got something, man. I watched some of their game. I saw some of the throws he was making, and those are throws not everybody can make. Definitely not Mac Jones, I promise you that. But this kid's special. I thought he was good at UNC when he came out. I really think he's got some swagger to him. He's got offensive weapons to go. Brian Robinson's still a good back. Gibson can still catch out of the backfield. His receiving core is pretty deep. Like it's not like all-star-esque, like the best receiving core in football. But having Terry McLaurin, Dotson, and now Curtis Samuel ramping back into the offense, that's not a terrible offense to go with. And then Logan Thomas too. I think Howell's got the weapons going for him. I think if they just block for him, I think he can at least exceed his projected, which is only 13.65. It's not a lot. I really think he can at least get past that. So yeah, if you want to take a flyer on somebody that maybe you're not sold on your starting quarterback this week, throw Sam Howell in there. Because I like Atlanta's pass defense, but I think they're going to be more keyed against the run. They have a good corner in AJ Terrell. I like Jesse Bates. I like him at safety. But the other side isn't exactly locked down. So, I think he's going to be able to find a receiver somewhere with how many receivers he has to throw to. So, Sam Howell is a stud this week and going to outperform his 13.65 points.
Yeah, I think so. Howell. So I'm in a mutant quarterback scoring league. So in mine, he's projected for 22. But let me just rattle off some of his fantasy points in this league. 20, 31, 5, 28, 38. So he's only had one dud on the year. And in those games, so he's outperformed his projections in 3 out of the 5 games. So he's quietly having a very good year. And yeah, AJ Terrell's a hell of a corner. So probably bad news for Terry McLaurin. Maybe we should have put him on the dud list. But with Dotson, Samuel, Robinson, and then Gibson, he's got plenty of weapons to go to. So I can see that.
Yeah, and Atlanta's defense, I think their run defense is actually is almost as good, if not better, than their pass defense. Their pass defense is only, I think it's like 13th, so they're still middle of the pack. They're not like an elite pass defense. They can lock down the Terrell side of the field pretty well. The other side, I think they're solid. And yeah, like you said, Howell's only had really one bad game, and that was against Buffalo where they completely blew him out. But and he had the 4 picks, which kind of hurt him a little bit. But other than that, he's been solid. So I think he's definitely a good pickup this week. Running back wise, I talked about it earlier, how you could buy him up. Josh Jacobs going against New England. He's projected to get 14.6 in my league. I think he's going to outperform that for a couple of different reasons. So one, we already talked about it, the last couple of weeks he's been coming on strong. He's really starting to ramp it up. Like you said, last season, this is about the same time he started to ramp it up as well. Having that contract holdout kind of slowed his start a little bit, in my opinion. So that's one reason. But on top of that, I know New England better than anybody. Our run defense is not that good. We've already lost some key pieces. Judon going down was hurtful. Gonzalez going down was hurtful. But our run defense in the middle of the field not great. We have Godshaw. I like Barmore, but he's not like a run stopper. We don't have that Will Fork anymore. We don't have that run stopper up the middle that it's like we have to make them bounce outside. And I just see, and if anybody knows that better than anyone, it's Josh McDaniels, who's been around that team quite a bit. So I think Jacobs is going to have a big night. I think he's going to be able to run the ball quite well up the middle and muscle through and show what he's worth. I think he's going to get at least 20 points, to be honest with you. So the 14.6, I don't think should be easy to eclipse. So he's definitely going to be a good start this week.
I mean, I'm happy to hear it. I have him on my team. Yeah, I don't know. The Patriots, they just are really good at taking away your best option. And, I think they already know how to stop Jimmy Garoppolo, seeing as they used to have him. So I don't know. That'll be a tough. I'll give you credit on that one.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like you did with A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift, I have a counter to that. You're right. They do like to take away your top option, which isn't just Josh Jacobs. It's Davante Adams. So if you're going to be sitting somebody this week, Davante Adams is definitely the guy to be sitting. So he's on my dud list. He's projected to get 17 points this week, which is already high enough as is. As we just said, New England takes away your top weapon. They're not going to let Davante Adams beat them. They're going to shade the safety over there. We just got J.C. Jackson back, who actually played pretty well last week. He was one of the only highlights of our defense that played well. So I think they kind of shade him towards Davante Adams a little bit. Not to mention, if anybody's going to be successful this week, it's going to be Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
It's not Davante Adams because Jacoby Myers, he's already pissed off that we gave Juju Smith-Schuster the same contract that he got, which was absolutely mind-blowing and dumb as hell. But he's already pissed off about that. Jimmy G is going against his own team on top of it. I think if anybody's going to show out this week, I think McDaniels is going to give Myers the opportunity to get his points against his old team. So that's another reason why I think Adams kind of doesn't hit that 17-point mark. I lean towards the other side of the field in that running game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think both guys might come in low. I actually think New England wins that game, but we'll see.
God, I hope so. It's either we win this game or we start crapping for Caleb. That's all I'm saying.
Or trading for Cousins.
Cousin? Oh, stop it! No, if anything, we're gonna trade for Kyler Murray.
Nah, Bill ain't gonna take Kyler Murray. Bill likes Kirk Cousins is very much a Bill Belichick guy, and he's second in the league in yards, and I think second in the league in touchdowns. Like Kirk Cousins can sling it. Like don't be fooled. But now,
that's why I want to get rid of him. Why would I get him then?
Because they're tanking. Like with Justin Jefferson being out for 4 weeks, they're already 1-4. They're not going anywhere.
That team that's not a 4-loss team so far.
Well, they're a 14-loss team now.
Yeah, they're all right. So and my wide receiver that's going to be a stud this week. I was kind of I guess not too shocked, but 11.57 is all he projected for. But Zay Flowers for Baltimore, he's going against Tennessee this week. I was a little shocked by that because the kid, he's really the only option they have at this point. I don't know if you watched the Baltimore game last week. Absolutely atrocious wide receiver play by everybody but Zay Flowers. Nelson Aguilar, I could have told you going into the season, the man can't catch anything at all, and he sure as hell showed that. Odell Beckham allowed Joey Porter Jr. to just jump right in front of him and grab the pick in the end zone. So Odell's not trusted anymore. So that was absolutely terrible. Like all the receiving core help, even who's it? Not Rondé Moore, the other one. Their other receiver, the young receiver, I don't even care to remember at this point.
Bateman.
Yeah, thank you, Bateman. He even dropped some. So they were all terrible across the board except for Flowers. Flowers at least knows to come back to help the quarterback out. Anytime Lamar scrambles, he goes and helps him out. So if there's anybody that's successful on that team, it's going to be Flowers. And there's one thing that Tennessee's not good at doing, it's stopping the top wide receiver on the team. Every week this year, the top receiver on each team they've played, they've given up over 100 yards to that receiver, and then the rest of the receivers were shut down. So top receiver play is the one thing they're not really great at. So Zay Flowers, I think, can succeed in that area. I think Tennessee's more geared to stopping the run game, so they're not really going to worry about Zay too much. That's one thing they're better at is stopping the run. So I don't see too much Lamar scrambling and going for a lot of rushing yards. I think he goes to Zay a little bit more this week. I see him going over 100 yards and a touchdown, so it should easily eclipse the 11 points that he's projected to get.
Yeah, I look at Zay. I can see that. He's due for a touchdown. I don't think he's scored since week 1. And yeah, he's the only reliable option on that. I don't know why there's so much hype around Baltimore's receiving core coming into the season. Like OBJ's 32 coming off of a second ACL tear. I never really understood that $15 million signing. And then Bateman is turning into like Kevin White 2.0 for them. So I think Zay Flowers is who I wasn't high on, come at draft time, but after preseason, he really started to prove me wrong. So yeah, okay. Well, what about some duds? Who are your other 2 duds? So you got Davante Adams is a dud.
Yep, Davante Adams is going to be a dud on that one. The next one I've got quarterback wise, which hurts me because I drafted him in a lot of leagues that I didn't get Herbert in. Is Trevor Lawrence, unfortunately, this week against Indianapolis. So he's projected to get 19 points this week.
He'll probably get
that. I'm projecting. He's already played the Colts once. Let's make that clear. And that was pretty much his best game, and he still didn't hit 19 points. He has not hit 19 points once this season, not even once. So to go against the team that he's already played against, get his best game and still not hit it, concerns me of not getting it. He's just not hitting the end zone. ETN's taking a lot of the end zone work away. I like Ridley, I like Kirk, but the Colts pass defense, as of late, it's actually been a lot better. The first couple of games, including his, they were giving up quite a bit in the end zone. But since then, the last 3 games, they've only given up 1 passing touchdown. So they've actually come together a little bit more because I'm not a big fan of the secondary in Indianapolis, but they're starting to come together a little bit more. So at least in the red zone. So I don't see Trevor Lawrence throwing it in the end zone much, which is what his expertise should be, is what I thought it would be. It's more or less, I think ETN has another big game, and Lawrence is not going to hit 19 points. So if you expect him to hit that or above, if you need him to go above, find someone else.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree there. I think because I hate their secondary. Their secondary is awful. D-Hop went for 140. Calvin Ridley in week 1 shredded them. I think Calvin Ridley's gonna shred them again. He was this close to being on my stud list. I'll give him to you as a bonus pick. He's just gonna shred them. The only reason he wasn't on my stud list is because I wasn't sure if it was gonna be him or any other wide receivers that are just going to go off. I think week 1 was a long time ago. I think Trevor Lawrence is kind of settling into his groove. I can. He's coming off his first 300-yard game of the season. I can see him going for 300 yards, 2-3 touchdowns this week.
2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay.
One to ETN, 2 to Ridley.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. Last week, you're right, it was his first 300-yard game, and he threw a touchdown, and he still only put up 15 points. So
yeah, the red zone's been a concern.
Yeah, I don't see it. Evan Ingram's been nowhere to be found either. Like I haven't really seen him much this season. He was supposed to be, he did well last year. The tight end spot's just been kind of abysmal for them, which is a good red zone target. Yeah, he's just underperforming for me, really letting me down in a lot of leagues, averaging 13, 14 points a week. Not great. So yeah, I don't see him hitting 19. We'll see. And then we talked about Davante, and my last one, it's more or less Dallas looking to bounce back in the passing game. So I don't see Tony Pollard having a big game this week against the LA Chargers. Their front seven's pretty good. Better than average. I'll give him that. Khalil Mack actually had his resurgence. Joey Bosa's up there. They've been good against the run for the most part. Tony Pollard's projected to get almost 17 points this week. I just don't see it. I think, especially after what happened in San Francisco last week, I think they're coming out swinging. I really do. And everybody knows if there's one weakness to that Chargers defense, it's their secondary. So I think Dak's going to try to make a statement. I think they're going to go all out in the passing game. Lamb, Gallup, Cooks, whatever they can find. Jake Ferguson, I think, will probably have a good game. I think it's going to be quite a shootout for the most part. As long as they can stop Parsons on the other side, I think the Chargers are going to put up just as many points. But I think it'll be a shootout. I don't think Pollard's going to be a big factor in this game. So 16, I think, is a real stretch. So I don't see that coming up big.
I'm going to disagree there, too. I think so. I went back and forth on Pollard and Lamb as both potential duds. And then I ultimately leaned that Pollard, I think, is gonna outperform, or at least hit as I did some more research. Like his projection is super high, but also LA's given up the seventh most points to opposing running backs this year. So, and then the more and more I thought about it, I thought Mike McCarthy's not going to let Dak throw the ball. They know that Dak is not the strength of the team. And they know that Dak is not the reason they lost that game, but he's the reason they weren't in it. So I don't think they're going to come out there and chuck it. They might try to get CeeDee Lamb more involved, as we've seen all years. Anytime, a wide receiver makes some noise, they wind up getting peppered. So I think he could do well, but I have LA winning that game. I've never been a huge believer in Dak. I've never been a huge believer in the Cowboys. The roster's talented, but for as long as Dak's there, he's just not that guy. I used to say he was a Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is better than him. So now he's a worse Kirk Cousins. So it's not ideal for someone you're paying $40 million. I said it, before they gave him the contract. I'm like, they should not pay this guy. Like, trade him and use that money elsewhere, because we saw last year when he got hurt, they went 4-1 or 4-0 with Cooper Rush. Like, they don't need somebody to ball out for that team to win. That team is built like the San Francisco 49ers, where you just need a game manager, and Dak can't even manage the game. He misses too many easy throws. I think Mike McCarthy sees it, and so I think their only chance to win in that game is to let Pollard try to run wild. But either way, I think the Chargers win that game, and then maybe it's Trey Lance time.
So you think Pollard's going to outproduce even though you think they're going to? I mean, I don't know. That Chargers, like I said, their run defense. Yes, all right. They're the seventh. They give up the seventh most points to fantasy running backs. But the most of the time that they're giving up points to the running backs, it's the bigger backs like Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. Those were the bigger games that they gave up, and those were bigger backs that could muscle it inside the tackle. Pollard's not that guy. When they played against people like Madison and Mostert, they shut them down for the most part and held them under 50 yards. So being the speed back, I just don't see Pollard getting a lot up the middle. They're not even going to use him that way. They've got Dowdle, who's been coming along as more of their power back now. I really can't see Pollard putting up a lot of numbers. If there's one thing that Chargers run defense is good at, it's speed. They do have some speed to them, so they can stop speed. They just can't stop the muscle.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. It's fair points, and I don't know why the Chargers defense isn't better than it is, like, all around.
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think the Cowboys' only chance to win that game is to try to get something out of Pollard. So again, 17.
That Chargers defense is just so much speed and so much talent. It blows my mind. I don't know how Staley still has a job. I really don't. It blows my freaking mind how he's allowed to keep his job after that team failed last season. Couldn't, lost that playoff game, which was absolutely atrocious. It's embarrassing. It really is. But
it is. I'm telling you now.
They've got so many weapons. I just said Bosa, Mack, Kenneth Murray at linebacker, who's a motor, man. That kid, Derwin James, Asante Samuel. There's so many names on this team that are speed players and can be talented, and it's just not being put together properly, and it's just disappointing. It really is. Because I had them as a Super Bowl contender this year, and Herbert should have better coming from that other side of the ball after all that he does.
Yeah, I agree. And Jim Harbaugh will turn him around and probably get him to the Super Bowl next year.
Dude, something, because Staley is not the answer, man. This is terrible. Yeah, no, absolutely terrible.
This is his last year, like barring a trip to the Super Bowl. This is his last year.
It's gotta be. If you don't win a playoff game this season, it's over. After that debacle in Jacksonville last season, and the previous season they missed the playoffs because of that overtime field goal they allowed because of the time management or whatever. Come on, man. There's only so many
because they tried to win instead of tying. Like they could have tied, and both them and Oakland would have made it.
But because the coach was an idiot, they let Pittsburgh in it, which was a complete waste of time and should have never been in it in the first place. But I'll never forget. That was the worst.
Yeah, no, he's gone after this year. Maybe if he goes to the AFC Championship, he sticks around. But I think it's Super Bowl or bust. For
at least a playoff win. Give me a playoff win. Something because now we're seeing the haters come out of the woodwork and start to talk about Herbert not being great because he can't win a playoff game when it's clearly not his fault.
Yeah, well, he didn't have the best second half, but
he put up 28 points. It was 28-0. He shouldn't even have to come out for the second half.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
But anyway, okay. Sorry. Who are your duds for the week? We already know A.J. Brown's on that list. Who else you got?
Yeah, so my duds for the week. One guy I've been super patient with all year long. I'm still high on him for the long term. Like I think he'll have a strong second half. But I can't see myself riding with Dameon Pierce this week. So
I know.
So the line, his line's gotten healthier, and I thought maybe last week that would be good news. I sat him last week too, but he wasn't on my dud list. I sat him just because DeAndre Hopkins had a great matchup versus the Colts defense that apparently inspires a lot of fear in you. But I think this is the week, for me to put Dameon Pierce on the dud list. He's it's just been tough sledding for him. I think he's averaging less than 3 yards a carry, at this point. And he's going up against the Saints, who are allowing the third fewest points to opposing running backs. They're coming off a shutout of the Patriots, where they shut down Stevenson and Zeke.
We get
it, which I know isn't saying much, but that defense is just getting stronger. I don't think it's a good week for Dameon Pierce. And then my other dud, Gus Edwards. I know a lot of people kind of hanging on to him and talking about hey, starting running back, blah 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 blah. But Justice Hill's getting the red zone work and the passing down work, and he just has more explosive plays. So gas is running out on the Gus bus.
Way to go out on a limb on that. What's he projected this week? Is he projected to get anything?
He's projected to get like 8 points. So that I think that is going out on the limb, because it doesn't take much to get. That's one carry for 10 yards and a touchdown.
What?
So
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Wow, 8 points, 8.28. That's wow. All right, that just blows my mind a little bit. When you said Gus Edwards is a dud, I was like, I didn't really see any other direction for him to go. But
I'm just letting people know, because I've seen him in starting lineups, and I see people asking questions about him on Twitter, and hey, what do you think about Gus Edwards and blah blah blah, and I think get him off the team, so I gotta let the people know, Jeff. I keep an ear to the streets, buddy. I'm just.
I don't. The sad thing is, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me, I like Gus Edwards. That's the sad part, is that I don't think they use him properly. I think he was averaging like 5 yards a carry going into this season, if I'm not mistaken. It's just they don't know how to use him.
Yeah,
that's one of the problems.
Yeah, he's the type of guy that, you got to give him 18 to 24, 18 to 20 carries a game. Let him get going. But they just don't do that. Whether it's Lamar running or whether they want the more explosive Justice Hill. But I hope maybe he requests a trade and go somewhere, because I think he's a fine running back. He's the type of guy that could get you 80, 20 carries, 80 yards, a touchdown, like clockwork. Like a James Conner type. Maybe not quite as explosive as James Conner, but just a good old fashioned workman's back.
What's sad is I like James Conner too. I was gonna think about putting him on the start list until he got hurt, and now he's out, so that kind of ruined it. But
yeah.
All right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I apologize if people did think Gus Edwards might be a good play. If you did think that, obviously you need to listen to us a lot more than I thought. So I apologize in advance. I didn't realize he was actually on people's radar. So my bad. If he is, good dud.
Yeah. Hey man, I gotta keep the people. I gotta keep the people honest, man.
Our odds, though, we're both agreeing on it. We're probably going to be wrong now, and he's going to blow up.
Yeah, America's honesty broker over here, man.
That's what I get for agreeing with you.
I know you got me worried now. Oh shit! I gotta go back and rethink all these picks now.
Flip that and put him in Taylor's spot, man.
Yeah.
No. All right, sweet, man. I like it. So we got a big week this week. We're still doing Sunday show?
Yeah, man.
All right. Sunday. Any questions you guys have out there, throw them our way. We're hitting a little to be honest, I've been noticing Sunday when you guys throw us our questions, we've been hitting more on those than we've been hitting throughout the week. So if you have any starts or sits for Sunday, that's your time to really get our expertise going, because we're over 50% on that aspect. So yeah, throw them our way. Message, comment, email us, whatever you want to do. Any contemplations that you guys are having for Sunday, we'd love to try to help out and give you our expertise. Starting at 11 again.
Yeah, I'll give you my expertise, and Jeff will give you his shit opinions. But whichever you want to abide by is completely up to you.
Saying we're both 50% on Wednesdays right now. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Even at this point, let's start talking a little more crap after this week when I take the lead back. But all right, I like it, man. Congratulations on your great week last week and my shit 33-0 week. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Like I said, crapping for Caleb, baby. Let's go. That's what we're doing. But all right, everybody, we'll see you Sunday, 11 a.m. Anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, sir.
All right.